Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to another Cold Calling Clinic live. David, they already know the drill. People are already telling us where they're tuning in from, so they already know what it is. I love it.
I'm hoping that people have been here for a lot of times at this point, Morgan. Like usually we ask how many times people have tuned in, so we're going to ask that same question again. But yeah, also like I want to know what companies you're from. As we never do companies, Morgan. I don't know whether I want
That's a
a
good call.
little company.
I like that. Tell us what company you're from. We'll love to see that as well. I guess we see the email tear up. Yeah, that was a fun one, the cold calling one. We got a couple of people throwing in there.
Alora's from the FBI, Morgan. Have you done? Is that for you? After you again?
It's for me. I got to button up. They're after me, man. I've been doing too much. Yo, we've got South Africa heavy in this one.
Yeah, we need to. Maybe we should do live cold calling live in Cape Town, Morgan. That sounds like a really good trip.
I would love it.
If marketing team, if you're listening, I'm sure you are. Tim, if you're listening, me and Morgan out to South Africa for a cold calling live. I think that'd be awesome.
I would love it. We got Toronto heavy in the house as well. We're gonna start here in a couple minutes, and this was already put in the chat. However, if you want to do a cold call live, raise your hand, put yourself in the video Q&A, and we'll run it with you. We want to hear what you have and what mock call calls you have on deck. That's what we typically do here on these. We get people who want to try out their cold calling frameworks, their script, or their objections, whatever they're struggling with. You come on, we do a mock cold call, we give you feedback and advice, and also the audience gives you feedback and advice as well. So that's how we go about it if you want to hop on. But again, let us know where you're tuning in from, what company, and then we're ready to dive into it.
Awesome. Morgan, is it worth mentioning about our Q&A section as well? If anybody hasn't been here before, there is so raise your hand if you want to do the live call calling, but there's also a Q&A section. And in that Q&A section, you can ask any questions, any other questions about anything related to cold calling or outbound sales or sales in general. And towards the end, Morgan, I'm sure we'll have some time to take some questions on.
We absolutely will. Yeah, if you want to throw in your questions, throw them in the text Q&A because we obviously love to see that. And we will answer them at the end, but we'll also answer them after the first mock cold call. So if you have questions on your mind and you're like, hey, we're struggling with this, throw it into the Q&A and we absolutely will address it. So I think Mark in the background, I think we have somebody on the Q&A that we can bring in, and then we'll get started. But again, throw in your questions in the Q&A and we'll do that. So what's going on, man? Tell us how. First of all, I don't want to mess it up. So how do we pronounce your first name? And then
hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, so my first name is Ashish.
Ashish. Okay, awesome. Yes. So give us a breakdown on who you typically call, and then also as well, if you want to give a scenario, if you do inbound, outbound, we also like to understand that context as well. So if you could just give us who your buyer is, typically, who you're calling, etc., what the scenario is, and then we'll decide who the prospect is on our end, and then we'll get into it.
Okay, so I'll first give a little background about our company, and then probably how we move forward with cold calling is what I'll share with you guys. So we are currently based out of Calgary, Canada, and at the moment our company has its own construction management software, right? And with that construction management software, we try to reach out to companies, construction companies, be it big enterprise companies or small or mid-sized general contractors. And at the moment, the target area is North America, but specifically we are targeting Canada at the moment because we want to expand our local footprints here. So that is why we are targeting Canada more than US. And this is a little bit about our company, and this is why we do the cold calling stuff. Anything else you guys want to know from my side before I share the script which we usually use to do the cold calling thing?
Yeah, for sure. Ashish, how competitive is your market? Just like, are there lots of people in your market, or is it, is this kind of like a new software to the market?
No, this has been done. This is not something new, which we have not invented the wheel, right? This has been already been done by many companies who are out there in the market. There are big players in the market as well. When I say big players, there are listed companies. There are some upcoming players. So it's the market is mix of both experienced or big size companies and a tech startup like us as well. So we are a tech startup.
Awesome. And what job titles are you usually reaching out to in these construction companies?
Yeah, so what we try to do is C-suite level people is what we try to target, right? Because we understand that only these individuals, if we make the calls to these individuals, only these individuals have the decision making authority. Like if we are calling to any other individual within the organization, be it a project manager or a construction manager, they usually don't have that decision making power. So
Course.
what we do is target vice president of construction of particular company, maybe director of technology, director of construction, and so on.
Cool. Got it. How's your Canadian accent, Morgan? Or shall I take this one?
It's not that great. I mean, I could do it, and we could laugh at it.
Who sounds more, as a Brit, do I sound more Canadian or do you sound more Canadian as an American, Morgan? I don't know. That's the big question.
I mean, I'm closer, right? So
depends where. I'll take this one. I'm more than happy to take this one.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And she's just a heads up. Like I obviously do not know the area that well, so bear with me a little bit.
Okay.
Cool. Do you want to give us a ring and then we'll go from there?
Sure. Like usually the same way. I don't dial any number. Just that I just say what we use for the cold calling script, right?
So what we usually do is you give us a ring and I say hello, Dave speaking, and then we role play it out.
Okay. No, but
okay?
Yeah. Just saying out loud on this call only, right? If I've understood it correctly, I don't have to. Yeah.
No. It's between. He's the prospect.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so hi David, Ash. So what we have is like we have changed our name as well, just to resonate more with the Canadian market, right?
Okay.
So how we start the call is, hi, this is Ash calling on behalf of Trace Cost, and we are a Calgary-born tech startup offering construction management software. We got to know that your company is also looking for a construction management software. So would you mind exploring our products and our offering? So this is our initial pitch, and then basis the response, we take forward our conversation, right? So it can be, so usually response what we get is no, I'm not interested.
So just to give you context, like, so you're gonna run it as if you're calling him, and then David's gonna be the prospect. So what you just said, so you're gonna ring the phone, right? Ring, cool. And then go into your introduction, and then David will respond, and then we'll go from there. And then we'll go into feedback after.
Sure. Okay, so hi David, this is Ash calling on behalf of Trace Cost. We are a Calgary-born tech startup offering construction management software. We got to know that your company is also looking for a construction management software.
Sure. Yeah, we've got a construction management software at the moment, but we're certainly looking around.
Okay, so as David, as you mentioned that you already are using a construction management software, so would you mind letting me know, are there any pain points or any areas of concern with the existing construction management software which you have?
I think it's generally good. Just we're always shopping around. It's up to contract time, so we're just shopping around just to see if there's another vendor out there.
Okay, so David, just to give you a little background about our company, so we are a Calgary-born tech startup, and as I mentioned, we offer construction management software. Our software is a completely modular and comprehensive software. Why do we call it as a modular software? Because although we have 10 plus modules on our platform at the moment, but all these modules can be fragmented, and you can pick and choose individual modules basis the requirement which you have. And apart from this, what we take pride is in the simplified workflows which we have in our construction management software. There are other big players in the market, but what we have got feedback from multiple clients of us is that the workflows are really complicated. So in our software, we have done this. The workflows are very simplified, and then these are some of the features of our software.
Okay. Sounds expensive.
No, if we are really high on affordability, David, so our per module cost is only $299 per month, and it's as I mentioned, you can take it as per module, or you can take the entire bouquet. That would be 10 modules, so it would be 3 grand per month. That's it.
Okay, understood. Could you send me over the pricing in an email, and then also like maybe some of the key differences between you and like other players in the market, if that's
Yeah,
okay?
sure. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll also attach a product deck along with the email which I'll be sending, which will give you a brief understanding of our products and offerings, and also a differentiation between our product and other players in the market.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you very much, David. Thanks. Have a nice
Cheers.
day.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, cool.
Great
All
job.
right. Appreciate you coming in first. It's never easy to do in front of everyone. If you all want to add in your additional feedback in the comments, you can. We always appreciate the interaction there. And then I saw a couple people that said that they wanted to get involved. Raise your hand in the video Q&A and we can get that engaged. So David, you want to go first with the feedback, or you want me to go?
I don't mind. I'm happy to go first. So awesome job, Ashish. As Morgan said, it's always difficult to be the first person. I don't mind the fact. So in terms of your opening, the way you open your call, I definitely don't mind you trying to resonate with like the local Canadian audience by saying that you're a Calgary-based startup. I'm a little bit worried that you might get called out on it if you're not a Calgary-based startup. Do you get called out on it much?
Okay, so David, what we do is before we do the cold calling stuff, we do a little background about the person we are contacting. If that person is not in Calgary but based out of maybe some other province in Canada, so what we do is a Canadian born tech startup. We change the script like this, or what we do is Alberta born tech startup. So we modify the script in that way.
Yeah, so I would always be really careful with doing that. I mean, from my personal experience, like any, I understand why you're doing it, but the danger always is always going to be that you're going to get called out on it, and it's actually going to kill like potentially big deals later down the line. So I always advise any of my salespeople to not start off a call with some kind, like with a even if it's like a little white lie that you think is going to get you into conversation, and sometimes as well, like people can tell very early depending on the way you deliver it, so you might want to, like, I think there's other ways around it, like other ways to open the call. So that one thing that I've been talking a lot about recently is, or I was on another webinar yesterday, I was talking about this. We're having a load of success at the moment from going and speaking to the end users of our platform, the potential end users. So this for us is individual salespeople in a company, in a big enterprise company, and then using the information that we gather from the individual salespeople to start a conversation with the heads of at the top. And that's, for me, one of the difficulties that sometimes you get from everything that people post on LinkedIn, in my opinion, is that everybody's saying that you need to personalize, but personalization at scale is very difficult. And so that's been a really effective way of us personalizing at scale, is going and speaking to these end users, gathering the pain, challenge, and goals that they might have, and then going to people at the top. And as you mentioned, Ashish, like, you're going after these big enterprise companies, so hopefully, maybe targeting some of the middle managers and end users is a way of then going to the C-suite with like a really catchy hook to start off with. Just second question is, what's your aim for the call? Are you trying to get them into a meeting, like a demonstration of the software? Like, what's the aim?
Yeah, so the aim is to ask them for a demo, because I feel that sometimes you can't pass on all the information over a maybe 30 seconds or a 1 minute call. So just the aim is to convince them to jump onto a demo so that the features and functionalities of the product and the power of our product can be showcased.
Sure. So exactly the same with us. Like, my team are always trying to get a demo. The thing that stood out for me, Ashish, is if you're aiming to do that, I'm really surprised you didn't ask me to come on a demo. Now, sometimes you want to, you do want to go with what the prospect's saying. Maybe they are asking for an email, but at least once I would personally be pushing back to try and make sure that, to say, look, like, instead of this email, perhaps I could find 15 minutes in your calendar. That way I can actually show you the platform. And as long as my prospect's interested, to be honest, that's probably a better use of their time than me writing out this big generic email that then they have to take 15 minutes to read anyway. So always, Ashish, if your target line is to get them in for a demo, at least always ask would be a big piece of advice. But Morgan, have you got anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, you added the majority of things that I was going to say there. I would just say the main thing here that I would tell you is look to incorporate some type of questioning, and this also is a mock, so I can respect the point that maybe you didn't go here, and personality to what you're saying. So everything you're saying was like, and it's a new script, right? But it sounded like you were exactly reading from a script, and you didn't add any really inflections or emotions to what you were talking about. So most people might just be like, all right, well, sounds good. Like, I could have just read an email on this. So the element of having a cold call is to add your own personality and mix to it, so people feel more attached and they feel the confidence of what you're speaking on, right? So by adding and layering in those questions, then you can start dropping in those things you were talking about from the product standpoint, because you obviously knew what you were talking about from the industry and the product standpoint, but because you were saying that so much and maybe you didn't identify a couple pain points, that led to David being like, oh, just send me an email that we all know he probably won't check. So that was like the main thing that I would say there. Like, you have the knowledge and insight, like it's there. There's some ways you could ask maybe some questions to open them up a little bit. So then all the information you have now is even more applicable to them. And they feel like you're touching on their pain points. That would be the main thing that I would say.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Ashish, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on. All right, so before we go to the next person here, let's throw up the text Q&A question from, I think, Ronan. I think that's how you say that name there. Y'all can let me know. But we're going to throw up this question here, and I think this is a really great question because, this is something that a lot of people are asking about right now, which is AI. How does it work? What do we do? How do we go about this? Anyone else have this question? Maybe let us know in the chat if you are thinking about this as well. But how are you perceiving about the AI to cold calling? So I'm assuming, like, how are you perceiving that AI is going to help with cold calling? Is how I'm reading this question.
Yeah, I think it's a really obviously it's very topical. Chat GPT, is that how I pronounce it? I don't know.
You got it.
Really a bit of an earthquake online at the moment, and is obviously incredibly impressive. I mean, I remember a few years back, a company, we ran a trial here where a company offered a service where essentially you could call. It was like a power dialer, and you could call loads of numbers, and then it would have a script for trying to get past the gatekeeper, and then it would connect you if it got past the gatekeeper. It was a great idea, theoretically amazing. Execution wise, the truth is I think that people knew. So personally, for cold calling, I think we're a fair few years off, because I just have never seen, like a speaking bot that is so effective. But also, like, there will be, if that happens and there's a really super effective AI that cold calls, I'm sure what will happen, my prediction is everyone will adopt it because it's so effective, because that's what happens. People adopt the things that are so effective, and then actually after a while people will just know that it's an AI bot, and the human element, you'll start to learn what the AI is doing, and then you'll basically change your script so it sounds less like AI, and it will always be, it's kind of like what is it, Tom and Jerry type situation, right? Like it's
Yes.
I think fortunately, humans, in my opinion, are always going to be a little bit ahead, and so there is something about human connection that I can't imagine like will ever be truly replaced personally. But so I'm not super worried. I don't know how you feel about it, Morgan.
I'm not. Here's the way I think about it. Am I worried right at this moment? No. Should you be worried maybe in the next 5 to 7 years? Potentially. Because here's why I think about this. So if you think about 5 to 7, even 10 years ago, all the social media, the things that we have today weren't even in existence, right? So in the next 5 to 7 years, even possibly 10. Let's put it that way. AI could be, I know they could be making really good cold calls, right? They could be solid, better than like the average SDR is what I'm saying. So if you are proficient, if you know how to do your inflections, tones, good confidence, able to handle objections, you actually shouldn't be worried. I'm more so saying if you're just going through the motions and like not taking the time to continuously learn and iterate on how to get better, that you should be slightly scared. Like, I'm gonna put it that way, because like if you think about each industry has used some type of technology or AI to replace, right? Factory workers replace technology AI. You go to the grocery store, they have half the registers, and then the other half is like self-checkout, right? So what I'm saying all that is, in like, if you're not proficient at what you're doing, you should be a little bit worried, right? I think we have to say that. However, do I see it completely replacing everyone? No. I think the best thing for AI, I said this in a post yesterday or with email as well, is using the AI to get information or get prompts or test things that you want to try out, and talking to it to see what you can do from there. But I don't see it replacing every single rep. I think that's not going to happen.
Of that.
All right.
We have another question for Ronit, I think, as well, if we want to jump on that one.
Yeah, let's jump on that one before we go to the next person. Also, the reach rate has dropped dramatically, especially for people working remotely and hiding behind voicemail. Look, this is an alley-oop to David. I mean, he's working in the world of data, so he probably has a way better answer on this than probably anyone else here. So I'm just gonna throw this up to you.
Yeah, this is obviously my moment to plug our company a little bit, but yeah, personally, we at Cognism, we've not found a drop in connect rate at all since like recently, or certainly post COVID. The focus has been on mobiles, people's actual like mobile numbers, and I think a lot of contact data tools, or the way that people are finding data today, is still looking for obviously switchboard numbers, which are basically at this point a moot point. I think switchboard numbers are more difficult than ever to get through to anybody on because of this, because of the remote work. But outside of that as well, I think what we're finding is a lot of people are still relying on direct dials. The sort of dials where it's the company phone number and then an extension number on the end. And again, people aren't sat at their desk. Pre-COVID, I literally would come into the office and I'd have a phone on my desk that you could get through on my extension number, and I just don't have that today, despite us being back in the office. I think that's kind of become a bit of a moot point. So, Ronit, my major advice would be just find a data provider, a good one. Doesn't have to be Cognism, but Cognism is the one that I suggest. And you've got to double down on mobiles. Like it's mobiles are absolutely key to making sure that connect rate stays super high.
Love it. Well, hopefully I helped to answer your questions there. And let's get in the next person. And by the way, y'all, if you have additional questions, make sure to throw them in the text Q&A. We'll answer as much as we can. Raise your hand if you want to come on for a cold call like we just did, and then continuously provide your feedback here in the chat. But let's see if we can get, I think, the next person involved if they're here.
Hi.
Hello. Mia, can you hear us?
Hello.
I think we're...
Okay, my internet's free.
I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. If you turn off maybe your video, maybe that might be better here. Or maybe not. We'll try to figure that out. As we try to figure that out, though, looks like we have someone else here. Oh, David. Welcome back. We can't hear you. It's like, I mean, that's a pattern up on a cold call, though. don't say anything.
Technology working wonders. I'm very pleased to meet another David. That's the first thing I'll say to you, David.
Okay. No, we can't hear you.
So sorry.
Go. We'll kick you out here. We're gonna answer this question, then we'll try on the back and we'll try to figure it out here. But we're gonna go ahead and there's people who have more questions, so continuously let this go around here. I think this actually is a really great question right now. And again, we'll try to get more people on here in a minute while we try to figure out the sound. So sorry all for the technical difficulties. This is a really good question, and I'm going to pose this to you all. Everyone who's listening in, and we're going to answer this, but what are your thoughts around quality versus quantity versus balance outreach? Like, generally, what is you all's take on this? Let us know in the chat. I'd be very curious. But overall, David, like, what are your thoughts on this, and how are you telling your team about this? Because this is the question that everyone's been asking since the beginning of time, but I think it does change based on your company goals, what you're looking to do, et cetera, all those different things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think so. There's no silver bullet. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer here. But if I was to speak from my experience, the main thing would be that it will totally depend on your product and your market that you're going after. If I give the example of is it DoorDash? DoorDash is the American service, right? So we have Deliveroo in the UK, Uber Eats, DoorDash, that kind of service. That company can work with any restaurant, any food supplier in the region that they're servicing. So DoorDash, I think, probably work. I'm making assumptions here, but they probably work across the United States, and could work with any food vendor out there. So their market is absolutely enormous. So if I was managing a team of cold callers or people that are outreaching at DoorDash, I would really be leaning on the side of quantity, because I just, if I make one call and it's not it's not a call that that works out, I can just pick up the phone and go to another. And really, I mean, the dependent here is if I'm going for a big enterprise organization. So if I was trying to get the deal with McDonald's, then obviously I really focus very heavily on quality. However, if I was going for the deal if I was going for 10 deals at like a small, the local kind of like I don't want to say fish and chip shop, but that's the first thing that came to my mind. That's so English.
Shout out to fish and chips, though.
Yeah, exactly. The local like waffle shop or whatever, right? Like the someone around the corner owns. Then for that, I would go probably on a more quantity basis. So that's the kind of way that I'd be thinking about it. Certainly, Cognism initially, like, we used our SDR team to target SMB organizations. We were all volume. We literally just essentially printed off lists of anybody with sales in their job title. We threw them at the team, and they called like crazy. We were, it was like 100 calls a day every single day. And now today we are working with some of the biggest enterprise organizations in the world, and that's really where we're directing our team, because those are the ones that are big ticket. And for that, we're being a lot more deliberate about the way that we outreach. Our targets have dropped right down, and because we know that if we get one meeting with one of these big organizations, it's gonna mean a lot. And we also don't want to burn those bridges as well. So we want that quality to ensure that we're not burning the bridge at the end. That would be my thoughts.
I like that, and that makes complete sense. And you said this kind of like add on to it is like tiers. That's the best way I see this, y'all. Like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. I know some people do tier A, tier B, tier C. But ultimately, at the end of the day, like that's how you look at quality and quantity. So the way I think about it is tier 1 is tailored, tier 2 is targeted, tier 3 is templated. So if you want to go after these big companies, you doing a templated message, that's not going to work out for you. You have to be very tailored. And then if you're doing it on the tier 2 perspective, targeted, well, that just means that it's relevant at scale. It has something to do with the industry or whatever. Tier 3, you don't really care about. So it's templated. You're just putting it out there. So I wanted to add that context and clarity to it as well. But it just comes down to segmentation, to what Dave is talking about. And if you do it that way, you're going to see more success. All right, so no one's sitting in the video Q&A, which is fine. If you want to continuously throw these questions, we'll answer them. But if you do want to come on, let us know. All right, so here's the other one. And I tend to open with, hi, my name is so-and-so from company X. This is a research sales call. Would you like to hang up or roll the dice? What are your thoughts on this type of approach? Okay, that's interesting. I'll go into this first. So this is me personally, right? This is my personal opinion. This is what I have seen to be true. However, at the end of the day, everyone's going to do things differently, right? So that's the case. Yeah, if you want to come on, raise your hand in the in the Q&A, we'll get you. And I'm curious for everyone else that also is in the audience, what do you think about this introduction? We'd love to get your take. So I personally don't like announcing my name in the beginning, and I don't like announcing my company because those two things don't matter. Nobody cares what my name is. Nobody cares what company I'm at unless I'm like Google, Apple, or like Amazon, or in the UK, so Amazon. I think that's how you say it. So you can do it that way as well. So also, here's a couple of things as well. This is a research sales call. You have to make sure you're not lying with that, right? Like if it's not a research sales call and they call you out on it and you're just making your dials, that's a huge problem. I wouldn't say it's a research sales call unless you are doing research. And my thing is, I have a hot take on this. I actually don't believe in doing a ton of research for a cold call because you're wasting your time. So it's a different conversation for another time, but I think that's a waste. Now, hang up or roll the dice. I think Josh Braun teaches this format and framework. I believe this is where he comes from. I've heard that people have seen success with this. So great. That's awesome. I do it a different way. So I'm not against it. It's just not something I use. So I can't speak it on personal experience, but it is helpful. So if I were to like rephrase this, I would just be like, but also you didn't mention the person's name in this introduction as well. So that won't favor in your direction. So I would say like, hi, David, look, the reason for my call is I've been talking to CMOs about X and was curious to see if you'd like to roll the dice to hear on how we're helping them or would like to hang up. I would be a little bit more targeted in the front end if I were to do this, but that's how I would do it. So, David, I don't know what your approach is or if your team's even using this introduction.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen something like this before. A lot of them, I've had some of my team have a lot of success, but saying like, "Hey, this is a cold call. Would you like to hang up or roll the dice?" I think, I've said this a million times before, and I think if you've been around for a while, you'll be getting bored of me saying it. But what's most important is whatever intro you do, it's an intro that's authentic to you. I think that matters way more than the actual words that you say. It's just that you're choosing one that is supernatural. It sounds like you, it feels good to you because this kind of, personally, if someone said this to me in the right way, I'd probably laugh and be like, yeah, sure. Morgan is correct that if you then don't show me any part of your research, we're going to have a problem.
You get obliterated.
Yeah, because straight away I'm going to call you out on that lack of research. So you do have to back it up in that way. However, I would definitely accept that cold call. The problem that I have is sometimes you get people that call you and they use this, they see something again on LinkedIn that they've seen someone else say, and it's just so not authentic to them, and it makes them sound robotic, and they don't, so try a lot of intros is my advice. Mia, try this intro, record the data, right? Try it versus like another intro that you've been using so far. Record the data on how many conversations this is getting you into, and then also how much success you're having on the back of it, and go from there. But there's definitely, for me, nothing wrong with this intro, bar if you don't have the research to back up what you've said. But just try it, record the data, and I would go from there.
The data is always going to tell you what's going on. So that's a good question. And we got Chris Brown in the house. I didn't know Chris Brown was going to pull up to a cold calling live session, but here we go. Here we go. All right. So cold calling opening. Do you ask how they
bet you, sorry to interrupt him, Morgan,
go ahead.
but I bet he gets that all day, every day, and he's sick of it. So, Chris, I apologize.
He probably is.
But Morgan has gotten that low to use your name.
That is also true.
Every day, yeah, there we go. I'm so sorry, Chris. On behalf of someone whose name sounds a little bit like David Beckham, and people always pointed out, I apologize.
But hold on, it probably increases your response rate, though.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
All right. So this is a good question, though. Do you ask how they are after your name and company, or straight into the hook? So I think this goes back to what David just said, is it depends on your style and personality. I don't like asking people how they're doing because I genuinely don't care. And the reason I don't know you, so I don't. This is me. I don't generally care. I want to get to the point. Here's what it's about. You also don't care if I ask you that as well. We're trying to get straight to the point. There's only a certain amount of time that people have before they hang up the phone, they move on because it's already a cold call. So that's the way that I see it. I know some people are like, well, I care, all these different things. Great, right? Great. But at the end of the day, I just like get straight to the hook. This is why I'm calling you, etc. Now, David might have a different answer, or you all might have a different answer in the audience, but I don't really care for it.
So I have a completely different answer, Morgan, and that's that
great.
I love saying how are you because I actually like people.
I mean, I like people too, but I know they don't like me when I'm calling them. So let's clarify that, because that answer makes me sound like I don't care about people. I do. I just know in the cold calls they do not. But we have different opinions. But
fair enough. Yeah. So look, go back to my last point. For me, and I agree with Morgan. Everything's about what's natural to you, and it really is natural to me. If I'm calling anybody ever, or I'm greeting someone in the hallway, or I'm walking past someone, the first thing I'm saying is how are you. So I will always ask how are you. But it is authentic. It's genuinely, and I've noticed in myself that when I've been calling too many people, and I've got maybe I'm becoming a bit robotic, and my even people can even hear in my how are yous that perhaps I'm not. I don't actually really care. So it is really important that if you're going to do that, you have to care. But the reason why I find it so effective is because the automatic response that people do give sometimes to asking how you are is they will ask how I am back. And as soon as they ask how I am back, I will give them a very genuine response about how I am. And what that does for me personally is it gives me an opportunity to humanize myself and make people not feel like I'm just, it's just another cold caller, or I'm just another salesman that they can just brush off and get off the phone to, and that I'm actually like a real life person. Because let's face it, in real life, if you were to walk up to someone in a party, you would never get the responses that you do on a cold call, right? You never get people saying, oh, I'm too busy right now, I can't speak to you, right? So, and that just, for me, that comes because in real life at a party, they see you that they see you as another human, right. Whereas on a cold call, like you're just you're just someone essentially online or like over the phone they're never going to speak to hear about again. So it, on the odd occasion that people ask me how I am, I'll tell them exactly how I am, and that's the biggest mistake. So if you're going to use this, Chris, and you're going to ask how people are, if they say, my number one tip on this is when they ask how you are back, tell them exactly how you are. Explain the fact that Morgan Ingram has just made fun of you because of your name, and it's the final straw, and you're going straight to in the UK it's called Deepole, to change your name to something that's not another famous rapper.
When in doubt, blame me. That's basically the sum of this answer. No, I think that's solid. I'm glad we have differing opinions on that. And Chris, the same thing as me. Like when I was coached on this, it was like never do this, and it's been ingrained in my head. And like when I did it, I would always get bopped. And so, and also the real reason though is because when I called someone in New York, I asked them how they were doing, and they were like, they said like, what do you want? And I was just like, I'm never doing this ever again. So I'm probably have like PTSD and scar. That's probably why I answered that way. But again, everybody is different. Now,
but sorry, Morgan. Do you know what you do in that instance? That this is the other thing is in that instance where someone goes back to you and goes, exactly like that New Yorker, and just goes like, what do you want? I've learned something about him, and that's another reason why I find it so effective. Is I like straight away I know, okay, this guy wants me to get to the point, and I'll react accordingly, and I'll mirror that attitude accordingly. So, for me, either way, I'm winning here. That's my personal opinion.
That's a good call out. When I was just starting as a rep, I saw that as like a game over. I'm never using this ever again. So I think that's a good perspective, though.
I think you get so used to just like that kind of response that it's bread and butter after that. So we've got another one from Garen.
These are good questions, y'all. Keep them going in the Q&A. Like I said, if no one wants to come up for a call, that's completely fine. We're going to keep this going. So for outbound reach outs, what's the ideal thing to do? Is sending emails to warm up better than calling? Simply put, I would say yes. And so if you do emails and then also like say a LinkedIn connection request, if your buyer's on LinkedIn, let's add that as a context, then you're going to have the higher likelihood to convert the call because people are going to be able to know who you are. So when I was doing full sales cycle and I was reaching out to people to get opportunities, I found that by sending a LinkedIn connection request and email before I even made a call helped my chances to effectively get them to respond to me. So they would be like, "Oh, hey, like, yeah, I saw your LinkedIn connection request or saw your email." Now, the chance of that happening every single time is not obviously that high, but it did warm it up a little bit. I'm not saying a whole lot, but a little bit. So I prefer it that way. But some people like hopping in with this cold call straight up first, and that's your way of going about it. But that's just at least my personal opinion on it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. I think I've debated it a lot before. The one issue with emailing is, and actually it's true with cold calling again in the States. I know that if you cold call too much on the same number, it comes up with that spam. This might be spam warning, right?
No, you're right. That is true.
So with the emails or with sending an email out to every single person that I'm about to call, the danger is that, the more of these cold emails that I'm sending, the more likely I am to end up in spam or to damage my email health. And that's the one thing that you're gonna want to think about, because either you're gonna going. I don't know whether you've ever had this, Morgan, but having a domain absolutely killed because you've just sent so many emails from it is a really dangerous game. So I would agree with Morgan that, in theory, sending out an email should always help you, because if they see it, hopefully it makes that your name like something that they associate well within the brain. However, you are playing a dangerous game, because of your domain health, and you got to think about that. So I think for people in management positions that are on the call, RevOps positions, that's something that you really have to care about. And then the second thing, from my perspective, is that you're also like in danger if the email is a bad email of you getting a response immediately that's very negative or an opt-out. Right. Like I find that what we do here is a lot of our key prospects. I spoke about the fact that we're really going after these enterprise companies, and sometimes we really only have one shot with the big main DM of these big enterprise companies, and it's worth, to us, it could be worth $1 million. And so with them, what we're doing nowadays is we're exclusively cold calling. At the start, we've got like 10 cold call touch points, because if we send them the wrong kind of email, they could opt out. So we start with a call because it's, at least it gives us the chance. If they're not, it gives us a chance to objection handle at the start. So yeah, that's how I'd be thinking about it.
I love it. We got differing opinions today. I like it. Gives people a different perspective. All right. Everybody, we might not actually have time for people to hop in the video Q&A, but if you do, we could potentially do it. But if you want to participate, you have to raise your hand in the video Q&A. But we only have about 15 minutes left, so we might not actually be able to do it. So if you do want to do it again, Tim, I think is still in the audience here. He'll send his email address if you want to get on the next one, because we might have time to complete it. I just want to be mindful of the time here for everybody. So we do have a good amount of questions that are coming through. I have never found a single introduction to a cold call that makes me feel comfortable with saying it. Would love to see what other people are saying. I guess it's just more of a comment. I mean, we've said a couple, but David, any, I guess, advice on what someone could be doing to get more comfortable with the introduction? I mean, the obvious answer is, go A/B test, but maybe there's something deeper here we can help with.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one, right? I think ultimately, the more I do an introduction, the more I start to feel, or the more I do a pitch and practice a pitch over and over again, the more that I get used to it, and therefore the more I feel comfortable with it. So, Paraskevi, I hope I haven't pronounced that wrong, but it'd be interesting if you asked, if you could comment, like, are you new to sales? Like, how long have you been working on this particular sale or cold calling in general? Because maybe that's part of the issue here, is that you're new and you're and you just kind of haven't had enough practice to get really used to it, or perhaps you're overthinking. I don't know about you, Morgan, but I certainly have seen a lot of problems. I find one of the biggest failures or the thing that really hurts salespeople the most is when they start overthinking. And I'll give you an example because I talk about this with my team all the time, and maybe this will be relevant for people that are out here. One of the most when I was running the door-to-door team, if you're new around here, I used to run a door-to-door team, commission-only sales. There was about 80 backpackers. People were coming in and out all the time because we were just, because they're commission only. If they weren't making a sale, they weren't making any money, so they would leave. So it was really it was a big learning experience for me in terms of having to train brand new salespeople very quickly to try and make sales and leave. We were hiring about 10 people a week to do this job. And one of the most common themes that I would see is people would come in and they'd have loads and loads and loads and loads of energy. And just because of that energy and kind of like almost ignorant confidence, their performance would just go up and up and up. And then there'd be this plateau point where their energy would start dropping, their excitement for the job would start dropping, which is super natural. But as soon as that energy starts dropping, then their performance levels started dropping as well. And the dangerous point there was that they started overthinking everything that they know that made them do well, and start completely changing their pitch and what they were doing, and then their performance would just start dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. And what I found was the biggest way to get people out of that was just return people back to the basics. And so yeah, I'm interested. Paraskevi, feel free to connect with me afterwards because I'm happy to chat this through with you. But I think sometimes like sellers can get into their own head a little bit and just start believing, if things aren't going well, it's so easy for you to start believing that, lose confidence and actually you lose that confidence, you stop sounding confident and comfortable on the phone. So that would be my comment on that one, Morgan.
Perfect. No, I agree with that. I think that's absolutely important. I think that's in consideration of how to do that. And I think that's a good stage for everyone across the board. All right. So, looks like we have some people in here. So we're going to bring them up here and we're going to go through. All right. Let's see. Let's give it a minute. Let's see if we got some stuff here. Oh, okay.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we go.
We are going through it, Morgan. We are going through it today. Team, if it's your first time here, the technical issues aren't usually like this. All right, so
yeah,
please bear with us. We sometimes get them, but I think we're really going through them today.
Yeah, that was wild. What? Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. This is not like this. So for people who typically go here, you can vouch that it's typically not like this. We don't know what's going on the tech side, but we'll try to bring someone else in here as well. If it does not work, then y'all, I don't know what to tell y'all. Like, this is technology. This is how it works sometimes. All right, David, can you hear us? Can we hear you?
Oh, David, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you. What is going on today?
This is crazy, isn't it?
This is crazy. Yeah, it's never happened before.
Tim, this is your fault. Sorry, Tim. If you don't know already, Tim is our man in the background that runs this. So, Tim, let's all pray for Tim going into this week because I don't know.
The question marks.
Sorry, David.
No,
we really
Dave, we can't
hear you. I'm so sorry.
Hear you.
All
right, y'all. Look, we don't know what exactly is going on, and the thing is, like, we do have some other people here, and like, I have no idea why we cannot bring them on. Let's try the other David again. But if we
can you hear me now?
Oh, here we go. Oh,
hey, can you hear me?
Yes,
we've done it. We've done it.
All right.
I was like,
all right, Tim, you're okay. Tim, you're okay again. You're going to last this week. You're fine now. All right. Great to have you on, David.
Oh, wow. Hey. All right. Here we go.
All right. So I've changed how I'm doing part of my business, and I've expanded it in a different way. And I need a new sales script for cold calling. Hence why I'm here. Okay. So let's see here. Give me 1 second. Oh, sorry. I had it there. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Morgan. Hi. Do you have a quick minute?
Maybe.
I just half a minute. I wanted to ask you a question. Reason for my call. Are you concerned about skilled workforce shortages or retaining your key employees? I mean, the workforce shortages are hitting everybody. Is it a concern of yours?
It's definitely a concern. I think it's probably a lot of people's concern. So it is.
We help companies eliminate key employee turnover. And as you know, there's a shortage of people with skills. I mean, there just aren't enough to go around.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever had one of your key employees quit? And if so, what happened?
Yeah. Sounds like maybe you've been looking at my business here. Yeah, we did lose a key employee 2 months ago. They found a better opportunity. But it was a blindside. It wasn't something that we were expecting, and that's been very hard to backfill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you know that the cost to replace a highly educated employee earning $100,000 and up is more than double their salary? It's 213% of salary, to be precise. Let me ask you a question. As I said, I want to be respectful for your time. The purpose of my call, especially since you've already lost somebody, is I wanted to schedule a short Zoom call with you at another time with one of our executives to see if you'd be a good fit for our services. I mean, we guarantee to eliminate key employee if it's a good fit. Our solution's got no risk. There's no out-of-pocket cost. There's no consulting fee. There's no setup fee. This is a freebie. Would that be worth 15 minutes of your time?
I mean, someone always told me if it's too good to be true, maybe I should question it. So how is there a guarantee? Like, what are some other maybe use cases that you've provided here, especially with the recession going on? Like, what are some proof points you have here?
Oh, sure. Well, first of all, I don't want to take up, like I said in the beginning of the call, I didn't want to take up much of your time, but we can guarantee what we do. There's absolutely no cost, and there's no consulting fee or setup fee. As I said, there's no risk for what you do. The 15-minute call, you'll see the whole picture.
Can I get like a snippet of the picture? I mean, otherwise maybe you could just send me an
let
email and I could preview it.
Let me give you a quick little thumbnail. Okay, there's two problems in the world: one for employers and one for employees. Employers, they can't find the people they need. And those that they can find, they can't hold on to them, and it's costly. On the other side of this coin are these key employees. They have a different problem. Their problem is they can't afford to retire. Now, not everybody, but most people live a lifestyle equivalent to their income. The more they make, the more they spend. When they leave one job, like your guy left you to go to another job for more money, do they save it or put it anyway? No, they buy more lifestyle. Then they realize they can't afford to retire at some point. I mean, they have no savings. We help you solve their problem. In exchange, they commit to a vesting period. I mean, that's the big concept. I can get into more details if you like, but you'll see what I mean. Let me ask you a question. If you were an employee and your employer said, we like you, we want you to stay, and if you stay with us for so many years, we'll provide you with financial security for life. Would you, if you were an employee, would you take that deal?
I mean, it sounds like a good deal. I mean, it's hard to pass up.
Right. So that's what I want to talk to you about on our Zoom call, because a picture's worth 1,000 words. I can show you a quick little presentation and you'll get it.
Okay, I mean, that sounds fair. I'm not available next week though.
That's fine. What's your next available time?
Probably like right 2 weeks on Wednesday, maybe sometime in the afternoon.
Okay, is 2:00 good for you?
Yeah, one's fine. I'm on the East Coast.
Okay, I'll shoot you an invite with a 1 o'clock time for Eastern time, and I'll have one of my best people on the call for you. Okay.
All right, sounds good to me.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, cool. I can go into it first, David, or if you got some stuff here.
Yeah, I'm just having to push back the office. We've got a birthday, and I'm trying to push it back so I can finish this webinar. David, that was fantastic. Really, 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 really great job. I'll tell you a couple of things that you did really well, and then I think there's a couple of things I would change.
That was the first time, by the way, I ever read that script.
It was awesome. It was awesome. For a first time round, that is a 10 out of 10. I think that firstly, the way that you have so one of the key things on a cold call is identifying a pain, or at least getting the prospect to highlight a pain that they have, and you did that so well. You've essentially picked something related to your product that most people will have suffered. I really doubt that there's anybody out there that hasn't lost a key employee. Otherwise, you're probably not contacting them, right?
Right.
So I think it resonates with every single person. So it's a fantastic place to start, and something that everybody should be doing. If you've got that common thing that everybody faces, common issue that everybody faces, definitely throw it in your pitch. You've then doubled down on it and explained why it's such an issue, which probably people don't know, right? The fact that it's double the, it's going to cost you double the amount to replace, which is, something that I didn't know. So it's really kind of emphasizing how much of an issue that was all absolutely fantastic. The other thing that you did that I thought was brilliant was how you told this story. Let me paint you a picture, right? I think the best salespeople are really good storytellers and can paint very good pictures. However, what I would say, David, is I think that you could have, I think you maybe could have lost Morgan if this wasn't in this scenario. I think you could have lost Morgan just by spending too long getting to the point. And I'm saying that because for me and Morgan, you were on the other end. I think your response was like, okay, this sounds too good to be true. Can you tell me a little bit more? And I think at that point, if you said, look, we have our service gives you the ability to offer complete financial security to your employees. What would you say? Would you say that that's something that will stop them leaving? You'll say it way better than me. It's your product. But if you cut to the point straight away, then for me, as someone who has lost key employees, and I know the cost of losing that, straight away I'm like, okay, cool, I get it, right? And I think most people will get that pretty quickly. The danger was that by going into that painting the picture, I know it said it's a good thing, and it is generally a good thing, but I think going into that painting the picture there wasn't actually necessary. But the way that you opened up that call, I think was phenomenal, and I think you're going to have a ton of success with that script. So really, really, really great job, David.
Thank you. Morgan, any comment?
Yeah, I do. David said the majority of things that I was going to say. And I have a question as a follow-up. So this is more of a service than a product, right?
No, it is. It's a product.
It's a product.
It's an insurance product.
Okay, got it. Okay, that's what I think that would have been like and David said it, but to double down on it, I would have brought that up maybe after the second question on how exactly the product is.
Here's my issue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. This script is for sales development representatives, SDRs. They're not licensed to sell insurance, which means they can't bring up insurance. So I can't really, all I really want to do is get them to commit to a Zoom call where a licensed insurance agent.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes more sense. So essentially, you're doing a vision sell, an idea sell to get them on the call so they can see the visual.
It's a concept, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an insurance product, and once the topic of insurance comes up, they should be licensed.
Right.
So
okay.
How far can they go? How far could they push it, David? Just out of interest,
I think, in my opinion, I think just enough so that, in other words, all I'm here to do is schedule an appointment for you. In other words, to have somebody who's really qualified to do this, to show it to them. In other words, I want to stay away from bringing up that it's an insurance solution. I want to stay away from that. I mean, could I skate by it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'd rather not. I'd rather come up with a script that enables me to do that. And let's focus on the key employees. What happens? What was your life like when you lost one? There aren't enough to go around, so you need to keep your people there. A way to tie your people to your company. Things along those lines. Does that make sense? I'm just building curiosity.
Makes complete sense. That's a very
Makes
unique
sense.
challenge, not one that I've heard before. Morgan, do you have any advice there in that with that?
It is. That's it's a unique challenge. I mean,
Otherwise, I start getting into. Otherwise, I'm selling insurance, and to do that, I need to be licensed.
yeah, I guess you would have to, unless you could work through someone to do those calls on your behalf, and you'd have a reseller. But I'm assuming that's what you're trying to do,
Well,
which
no,
is
in
that's
other
a whole
words,
different conversation.
I'm licensed myself. In other words,
Yeah.
I'm bringing on non-licensed, basically a glorified appointment setters, to schedule a time with a licensed agent to be able to do this.
Could your appointment setter say, because I suppose like my feeling was exactly the same as Morgan's when you said that, like, you gave if I could free of cost, free of charge, like all of that.
Maybe too much of that.
I think it was too much, right? And I was like, okay, this feels like a scam, or it feels too good to be true. So like maybe there is this like I think for you, it's the key is going to be finding that middle ground, and perhaps I think someone's just mentioned it. Like perhaps you say, look, to be really honest with you, maybe your appointment setter say, look, to be really honest with you, that I have to put you in discussion with a licensed professional, and maybe just the honesty of saying that, like if you said it in the right way, would get you the result that you need. Just by being
I like that.
look,
In other words, I have to put you on the call. I don't have to. I'm not even saying that's insurance. I have to put you on a call with a licensed professional. I like that.
Yeah, that might be the route.
Professional makes it more like this isn't a scam. These people are licensed.
Yeah, because I was just like, wait, what's happening, right? I think the license piece makes a ton of sense. I agree with that.
I like that. Thank you, David. That was good. Okay,
good stuff.
I'll go back to work on it, and I'll bring it back to you another day.
And David, just before you hop off, like your tonality is fantastic. You can tell you're a fantastic salesperson. It's really, really super impressive. Your pace and your tonality is superb.
Thank you. Appreciate that. No we'll talk again.
Good seeing you again, David.
That's how it goes.
Nah, David's legit. He came on another time. I think it was when you might have been out that time, but he's legit. So good to hear that. Are y'all like in on a high note there? So appreciate everybody coming in. If your question did not get answered, feel free to go ahead and email us. We'll definitely try our best to get to those answers, or you can message us on LinkedIn and connect with us as well. Speaking of that, David, where can people connect with you? I know LinkedIn's part of it, but where else? Is there anywhere else that they can connect with you, or what's going on?
Yeah, LinkedIn is the main one. Feel free to email me. It's just my first name last name at cognism.com. Make sure you follow if you're loving like everything we're doing. Please make sure you follow the Cognism page. It's not just myself and Morgan, but we have so many people giving advice on all things cold calling, outbound sales, outbound marketing. Like we have the most fantastic marketing team in the world. So if you're not already, and I'm sure a lot of you are, make sure you go and follow the Cognism team as well, because they are absolutely superb.
Awesome. Well, same. Follow me on LinkedIn. Hit me up on LinkedIn. If you enjoyed today's session, let us know with a message, with the connection request. We always appreciate that and looking to get this better. And then feel free to share it out on social if you want to. So hopefully you all found this to be helpful and impactful. We'll see you all next time, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.